positions. Okay. Lynn, can I just ask you to put your, go to mute. Sorry, if you don't mind. I've just changed the setup and people coming in on unmuted. Thank you. Okay. So what we're just going to explore is this, our capacity to find support and know where we find support. So just when we're doing things in kind of yoga or other training, we're just trying to remind ourselves what the body does so that we can try and get it into automatic for the best support we need. So just allow the chest to drop a little bit. So you're sagging in kind of the chest and the shoulders, and you can feel the weight of the rib cage coming down. Yeah, so you don't need to bend your elbows. The arms can still be straight, but you're kind of giving weight or feel like you're kind of dropping down towards the floor. Then almost like a push-up, just press through the palms and the fingers and just see what happens when you push and what reach you get through that. So that means there could be quite a movement of the chest from collapsed position to full support. So again, just allow the chest to kind of collapse. So you might either drop the chest or you just let it release bit by bit by bit. Now what you'll might notice this time is what normally happens is the belly comes with you. The belly starts to drop as well as the chest. So you're actually giving up your support in two areas. So just push again. And there might be a stage where you're over pushing. You're pushing so strong that you could never retain it and you stop the breath. So just stay or adapt that positioning until you're actually in a position that you can breathe. Okay. Welcome, Caroline. If you can just mute yourself, sorry, it's just the way things are set up today. You've come in unmuted. Thanks very much. So just noticing the breath, you're on all fours, you're giving a little bit of support through the hands so you can feel the inner arms and the outer arms, and the chest feeling like it's coming away from the ground, but you're not pushing so hard or putting so much effort in that you can't breathe. And just keep the neck long if you can, so the spine's still feeling like it's got some length. So the back of the neck feels long and it feels like the crown of the head is reaching forward. Okay. And just, if it's comfortable to shake the wrists out, just come up for a moment, just shake the wrists out, just to give yourself a little bit of break, because that pushing down on the wrist isn't always the most fantastic things for everybody. And then see if you can come back. So I'm assuming you've all remembered that the wrists are broadly under the shoulders, but you normally come to the position that's going to be the safest for you automatically. Most people do anyway. Okay, so we're just going to play around with the belly. And all I mean by that is let everything go. Yeah, so let the belly be heavy, and it might create a little bit more of a kind of a drop in the belly and also a drop in the lower back. So anything that creates discomfort, then come out of it, but you might feel that there's a bit of a sag in the belly if you just kind of let it collapse. And then just bring the belly in and just have a sense of, as if you had a brick between the thighs, just a little bit of engagement through the thighs. And if it makes any sense, a little engagement through the pelvic floor. Don't worry if it doesn't make any sense, but it's just a bit of a gathering in the center, so you feel like you've got some support. And what probably will happen again is you'll get support through the chest. Whichever one you activate, you normally get the other one thrown in free, more or less, or at least to some extent. Now there'll be a tightening in the belly, and it might be so tight you can't breathe again. So you're going to just need to let go a little bit so you can breathe. The breath doesn't have to come through the belly, it can come anywhere to the side ribs, higher up in the body, but just notice that you can still get back to breathing here. So it's just an exploration of where we activate, where we switch on, what it feels like to collapse, what it feels like to be engaged, what it feels like to overdo, which means we can't breathe and we can't move comfortably. Okay, and then just come to a happy position where you think you know you can feel a little bit going on in the arms, in the chest, in the belly, again around the top of the thighs, maybe the glutes, maybe the pelvic floor, but you're not stuck in a position and you're not feeling like you're holding everything together. but the support. So generally what happens when we activate, it switches on, it switches on. We switch off, but a little bit stays with us. So be interested to find that kind of what's stayed with you. And then we'll just need to loosen up. So just either with the legs as they are or bringing the knees together, just come into this figure of 8, which again, most of you know. Hopefully Zoe can still remember that. Wow, maybe since we've done that. Can't remember if we've done it since you've been back. So it's kind of like taking the bottom and the pelvis round in a semicircle and then weight to the opposite hand, other hand, come back in a diagonal. But just snake-like, just snake the body so you can just loosen up in the center, feel the side body. And again, if you need to adjust the wrists to come in onto your knuckles, or you could try coming onto your forearms. It'll be might be a little bit more restrictive, but you could give that a try if that feels a little bit more safe for you. So turning the hips in the opposite direction. So we always go in an automatic way, and then we try and do the figure of 8 starting in the other direction with the hips and the pelvis and the bottom kind of doing a semicircle in the opposite direction just to get a little bit looser. And we can always breathe out if we know we've just been holding the breath through part or all of that, or we're just holding on to tension that we brought home with us from work or from gardening or from driving or whatever we've been doing. Okay, and then find your neutral. Okay, so just for a moment, just either take your bottom back and your hands, arms behind you into child's pose, or if that's uncomfortable, then just come onto your back for a moment, bring your knees in towards the chest. Whichever feels like it's going to be helpful to just release the lower back for a moment. So there isn't a right or a wrong, there's the one that works best for your body. To just loosen the front of the shoulders, back to the wrists maybe, and get the lower back to feel a little bit more comfortable. And if you can do a breath that actually gets into the lower back somehow, then see if you can discover that. Which if you're doing child's pose, that tends to be in breath, kind of feels like it's expanding and massaging into the lower back for most people. Might be more through a little bit of rocking movement if you're on your back, to just massage and release. Okay, and letting out breath a little bit more again if you wish to here. Okay, so whether you're on your back or you're in child's pose, just taking the hands to support you to get back onto all fours. So we've got a little bit more on all fours, I'm afraid, for those that don't like it, I'm sorry, just the way it happened this week. So we're on all fours, and again, just notice if you've got that sense of support, inner arm, outer arm, belly, inner thigh, butt, and that we feel strong in this position without having to work at it now. Okay, so we're just going to exaggerate some of that work if you want to. So it's just simple, it's just tucking the toes under and it's lifting the knees. Yeah, just tucking the toes under and lifting the knees. So that way we'll go a little bit more into the hands potentially. Can you do that and breathe? Just out of interest, can you just take the knees off the floor to a hover and come down at any point? So your arms might feel like they're struggling a little bit, but there's still that slight push of the hands away. So you've got the arms operating, the neck's long, you're looking down towards thumbs or towards the mat. Lower the knees down and just relax in the belly. And just for maybe 3 or 4 moves, just do the cat-cow when you're around the back and arch the back to just loosen a little bit. So the rounding is more important than the arching, particularly if your lower back's vulnerable, just to get a bit more freedom in the spine, a little bit more support for the lower back. And when you've done 3 or 4, you can choose to do it once more if you want to. Okay, so if you want to join me, then just let the knees hover. It's only a real short distance. I know it's difficult to see on the screen because of the dark trousers and the dark floor or dark mat. And you just hold it, but you see if you can breathe. And notice where you're breathing from. Is it the whole of the chest? Is it the side ribs? Is it the belly? It's going to be more difficult. So just finding where it comes. So if you're breathing through the nose or breathing through the mouth. And then again, relax the knees and just 3 or 4 more cat-cow positions. Just loosening, relaxing, extending through the spine, tipping the pelvis between positions. And then we'll come and just take a break by doing some movements on our front. So when you've finished the next round, then finding your way onto your belly. That'll give a little bit more relaxation for the arms and the wrists. So just allow yourself now to come down. So although we haven't done much, we've done a lot. So all that was activation, and it was activation ideally not just in the obvious place of the abs. It went beyond that into maybe lower level, into the legs, into the pelvic floor, maybe into the glutes. And you had to activate your arms. So just because we run on our legs doesn't mean our arms don't need to support us, don't need to be working as well as the legs. They just work in a different way to provide that kind of support in the upper body so we can breathe well, move well, find a rhythm, and just have another way of supporting good alignment and good form. So we do need to do things with the arms as well as the legs. So now we're kind of lying here, then just notice what goes on in the belly. So do you stop breathing in the belly because you've got a bit more weight on it, or can you still breathe into the belly? Do you have to put a bit more power without overdoing it into the belly to get a response, to, again, maybe allow the lower back to expand? So just play around a little with that. I know you can overdo it or you can find it not very accessible. So just see what breathing means in this position, particularly around the belly and the lower back, but just see what you find. And let out breath, the out breath through the mouth if that's pleasant. Just trying to relax around the jaw now, the eyes, the cheeks, back of the tongue. Those areas that really get tight in our day anyway, and then can get tight because we're activated, and therefore we might create tension somewhere else in the body, even though we weren't inviting it there. So just allowing that area to relax the shoulders a little bit more here as well. Okay, so we're just going to do, again, what we're familiar with just for a short while. So just bend up one leg, so bending one knee, so the foot looks like it's heading towards the ceiling, and just do really small movements in circles for the heel. So it's not an ankle movement, it's moving from the knee, so that the knee joint then affects the thigh bone, which affects the hip socket connection, and we're just trying to just enliven that area a little bit. Hydrate, loosen, find space. But we're doing really small maneuvers. And that just means it gets really deep into that joint. And it might be that because we're doing smaller movements, you can find an easier route round in that circuit. So you're looking for really free, fluid, flowing movements. Don't need to do any power work, just find your rhythm. Keeping it fairly slow if you can. And just turning in the opposite direction, so not doing it too long, we're just partly giving ourselves a breather, partly giving ourselves support through opening through the hips. So we're going to do a little bit with the hips today to open up, as well as to find the stability in the centre. So a little bit opposites going on there. And then relax that leg down. And before you start the second leg, just see how that first leg lands. Whether it's longer, whether it's feels like it's got more contact with the floor, whatever you feel, just really try to experience that leg. Sometimes you just have to compare it with your first leg to see what's happened, if anything, in terms of changes. And then bend the other knee. And again, so the foot feels like it's heading for the ceiling. And then you find your knee circle or ankle circle or heel circle. So it's not just the ankle, it's the whole of the foot and the leg, lower leg moves as one. And you find a small maneuver to try and get really deep into that joint in order to create a freer movement, hydration, support in that area. See what it feels like into the hip, into the butt, into that side of the body, like the movement all the way through up to the waist, even higher on that side. And encouraging a little bit of space and movement anywhere in that side, just through that circular movement of the heel. And then go in the opposite direction. Loosen up in the back of the thigh, maybe, particularly if you know you tighten hamstrings. And it's almost like an unwinding for the body. And if you kind of like it, it's more likely that your breath will relax. Maybe the tension in the top body will relax as well. So that area we talked about before, shoulders, jaw, tongue, eyes. The tension gathers, shoulders, just encouraging that release there. Inviting softness. Okay, and then let that leg gently rest to the floor. So we've got two long legs maybe now, maybe the same as they were before, maybe feel longer, maybe just feel different. So we are looking for a sense of extension through the legs if we can. So we're going to be doing some leg lifts from here, just so you can have an idea in your head what you're going to be doing. In order to do that sort of safely with stability and with strength, I'm just going to give a few suggestions of where you might activate, where you might feel before you lift either of the legs. So what I'd like you to do is just bring the belly in a little bit and feel the weight going through maybe the front of the pelvis, pubis maybe, and see if you can just switch on the glutes, switch on the inner thighs. And if this kind of sense of the pelvic floor makes any sense to you, a little bit of a lift there as well. So you're kind of gathering into center, and that might feel like you've got power or sense of sensation in the center. From there, just press down slightly with the left leg, and as you do that, lift the right leg slightly off the floor. So we're only talking a short distance, but the thigh does come off the floor, part of it at least. And there's a sense of slight extension through the spine. It's not like somebody's completely dragging you by the right leg, but there is a little bit of sense of extension. But it's as up as much as it's away. And feel what that feels like on your left side as well. You can cope with that with your knee, how stable it feels, hopefully. And then lower the leg down. And relax everything. If you like the feeling of rolling from hip point to hip point or thigh to thigh, then you just have a wriggle from side to side. If that doesn't work for you, then just breathe maybe a smidge more deeply to loosen the back. If you're really uncomfortable in the back, please just go up to child's for a moment to release the back. So it's a tricky one. When we start activating the center, sometimes we can over switch on in the lower back, particularly people who are kind of used to doing that anyway. Or over tightening the glutes, some people who hold there. So it is a tricky one, engaging without overdoing it. But this is all experiment. The more we kind of play around with it a bit, the more we'll find that midway, balanced position. Okay, second side means we've already done some activation, so it might seem a little bit more straightforward the second time. So a little bringing the belly in, a little sense of weight going through the front of the pelvis and the pubis, a little bit of work in the glutes, the inner thighs, pelvic floor, feeling that kind of gathering in the center, and then pressing down through the right leg just a little bit. It doesn't have to be crushing through the floor. Get that support, and as you do that, then just lift the left leg slightly off the floor. So it slightly reaches away, but it's more like it's heavy, but it's heading up slightly. The thighs largely off the floor, but you've got your hips down if you can keep your hips down. I know there's lots going on there. Just see what feels stable. It might be very different in your body to my body. And feel the power of that, the weight of that. And then slowly lower it down if you can, rather than dropping it or releasing it. And again, either both, either deeper breath and a kind of shake to the side, each side, to just loosen and relax for a moment. So all these activations each time will remind you what you're doing. It'll remind you whether you're overdoing it, whether you are creating strain, or whether you're just finding support, strength through these movements. So what we're going to do next, a few more of this if you can cope with it. If not, just come onto your front, bring your knees into your chest. So from here, we're going to be starting to lift the chest as well as lifting the legs. We're going to do it in a number of different ways. So start to engage the forearms, as if you're going to press yourself up, which you are, but don't do it yet. So then go back to what we were doing with the belly and the pelvic floor and the glutes and the inner thighs to just get a little bit of support in the centre. And from there, do press down through the forearms to take the chest just a little bit off the floor and raise both legs off the floor. So the centre's stable, but the legs are just slightly lifted. It's only a really small distance. The head's off the hands, the chest's off the floor, but your rib cage is probably the lower rib cage is still down. You've got your back neck long, so you're looking down. If you've got your eyes open, at your hands on the floor or on the mat. Just see if that feels strong or feel like you're overdoing it. Can you breathe here? Where you're breathing into. So you can allow the belly to soften a little bit. But you can also breathe into the side ribs, into the front of the body. And then relax down. Again, wobble. If you need to come out and do a child's pose, please do. Or coming onto your back for a moment, please do. If not, we've got a couple more things, but please do what you need to do. Yeah, so quite a lot of people will benefit from going to child's pose here. Doesn't help me particularly, but I know how important it is for lots of people. So back onto your front if you can. And we'll do one more thing, I think, here. Might come back to it a little bit later, we'll see. Might be too much. Okay, so this time, as re-engage everything in the centre, the belly, the glutes slightly, the inner thighs and the pelvic floor. And start to, again, imagine the forearms coming down to lift you without it lifting you to start off with. Then what you're going to do, you're going to look towards the left elbow and pick the right leg off the floor. So we're just doing opposites. Looking to the left elbow and picking the right leg off the floor. Yeah. And come back to centre. And relax for a second. Switch off, melt, let the body melt down. And then re-engage if you're going to do the other side. So just again, bring the centre into action. Bring the arms into semi-action before you do anything. And then press down through the forearms, chest off the floor, look over to your right elbow and just bring the left leg off the floor. Same as we did before, doesn't need to come very far. And release down. Well done, well done. And then taking the hands underneath the chest, everybody come up and just go onto our back because that's easier and makes more sense for some people. We're going to be onto hands and knees again in a minute. So coming onto your back and bring your knees into your chest, take your hands to your knees. You can try rocking the knees forward and back, see how that feels. You can see how it feels going from side to side. Actually, we'll do something else before we go back to hands and knees to give ourselves a longer break, I think. Okay, that'll be more of an antidote to what we've just done. If you want to do circles on your lower back, then do. So we're just seeing how things are on the back, but we'll start to sort that out now rather than leave it till later, I think. Yeah. Okay, so let the feet return to the floor, but have your knees heading towards the ceiling. And I'm hoping most of this is familiar, so I'm hoping I can talk you through it rather than needing to show you. But if you get stuck, then just gently come up and have a look. Otherwise, just see if you can go with it. So if you're okay to take the hands under the head, interlock the fingers, so with the elbows out to the side. So I know this is similar position as you were before, with the elbows bent. See how it feels being on your back though, doing this positioning. Okay, so we've done quite a lot of strong stuff, and I'm afraid it continues, but it's a different way of working. But it's still working with what's going on in the center largely. So from here, just for a few breaths, just breathe in and just create a little bit of an arch in the lower back. So that means you're tipping forward onto your pelvis a bit. And then lower your back if you can, more towards the ground on the out breath. And if it's uncomfortable to do that with the hands under the head, then for the moment you can take the hands away and just leave the hands by the side of the body, arms by the side of the body, and just bring them back a little while. Okay, so it's just that rock and roll. Maybe if you can do it with the in-breath, let the belly expand, see what it feels like in the body to get the body to move through the expansion of the belly rather than just arching the back. How it feels to bring the belly in, to lower the back. So it's just where you take your attention. So you can take your attention a bit more to the belly rather than necessarily to the back. I'm trying to find, as we were earlier on, this fluid movement. So it's not kind of, I'm doing one movement and I'm doing another. It's kind of like I'm flowing through one movement and the other movement. It's one breath, really, if you can. So we're looking for fluidity, softness, release, not over creating the belly arch, particularly if you have issues with the lower back. Okay, so we are going to do the movement where you will need your hands underneath your head. So if you took a break, then come back to that. Hands under the head, elbows out to the side. Okay, so creating the arch in the lower back. And then flattening the lower back, but this time bring the elbows in. Use the hands to lift the head up off the floor and the elbows head towards the thighs. Okay, careful with the neck. You come to where you come to and you hold it. So you might be quivering. And then lower, slow as you can. Lower, 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 slow, 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 slow. Like extending into your upper back. Rolling, opposite to rolling bridge. It's the upper back that gets the extension. And you land. And your elbows come out to the side and you relax for a moment. Okay. So one more. So arch the lower back, flatten the lower back, bring the belly in from that inner belly action, bringing the body forward, leading with the elbows, and let the hands bring the head up rather than the head coming up first. You hover wherever you get to, feeling that kind of pulling in through the belly, the pelvic floor, the inner thighs, and then lower yourself down as slowly as you dare, with as much control as you possibly can do, and extending through the whole of the spine here. So we've done this recently, we did this last week, so you're getting that sense now, that lengthening through the body. Okay, so for a moment, let's just release. So release the arms so they get a break, release the legs so they get a break. And just lie on the floor and just see what state your body's in. So that might mean, oh, it feels kind of like a bit lively now, or it feels like I've done a lot of work, I've done too much work. Notice what happens with the thighs, let the thighs release, let the butt release, let the belly release. And allow the arms to be heavy in whatever position they are in relation to the shoulders. And let the weight go through the back of the head. So just giving you weight, and then let just the breath be. So just notice the breath, but just let it be. You don't have to change it. You don't have to do anything with it. We're just taking a pause and a reset. And we're checking what the body really feels like rather than just keep pushing, and not really knowing where we are. And if we need to take a proper break, then we take a proper break. We need to do something to support the lower back or change the position or have a shake out, then we have a shake out. Some people need more movement, some people release through being still. So you just need to know what you're going to help you most. Try different things out. So 3 more natural breaths. See how it feels in the belly, what the response is in the belly without trying to do anything. And if you want to do deeper out breaths now, if you want to, that's fine. Just release and relax. I kind of feel like it's a bit longer and certainly a little bit more connected to the support of the ground, which is often what we're looking for, that ability to let go of strain and tension. And sometimes that comes after work. Sometimes that just can be activated on its own, that release valve. Okay, so feet on the floor, knees bent. And if you take your left hand underneath the head this time, so the elbow's out to the side, just your left hand. So the right arm just does whatever it likes. It can just have a break. It doesn't need to pay any attention to the right arm. Okay, so we're going to do these diagonals. So just what I mean by that is just see if again you can do a bit of an arch, but focus more on pressing down through the right bottom or sitting bone or pelvis or hip and the left shoulder slightly. And then release down to the lower back comes down. So don't worry if you can't feel it, but you're heading to a diagonal, if you can, between right hip and left shoulder and elbow. And again, if you do too much, it creates strain. So it's finding that right amount of pressure through the right hip to create the arch of the belly. So you can still think about the belly expanding if you like. And then the belly coming in to lower the back down. Okay, so we're going to do a movement that we're familiar with, but I've added an extra element to it. So I'll describe it to you, and if you haven't got it, then just come and have a look. Okay, so if we create the arch, maybe on the in-breath. On the out-breath, the lower back comes down. We bring the left elbow and the right knee towards each other. So it's a spiral in it. Hold it wherever you get to, and then lower yourself down. But when you get the heel to the floor, extend the leg away and try and keep the extension going while you're still finding your way down with your opposite elbow. So that when you finish, you've extended your right leg and you've rested completely down with your head and your elbow on your left side. Okay, so that's much more of a bigger movement. Yeah, it's a whole body, whole kind of diagonal movement. So breathing in again, as you breathe in, bring the right foot back to the floor with the knee bent, creating that diagonal arch if you can. Then take the belly down, back down, and bring the left elbow towards the right knee again. Spiraling in. And slowly, slowly, slowly then opening up with as minimum jerkiness as you could possibly find. And when you get your heel somewhere down to the ground, somewhere broadly where it started, then extend the leg, and as you extend the leg, you're still ideally taking your head down, your elbow down, if you can time it like that. And then you completely relax. And feel that length through that whole right leg and across the belly and over to the left side. Okay, let's both feet on the floor again. And let's do the opposite side. So we're taking the right hand behind the head, right elbow out to the side. So we're working with right shoulder and left hip. So just taking an in-breath, belly fills a little bit, and we feel a little bit more pressure on the right shoulder and the left pelvis, maybe hip, butt. And then out breath, you gather in the center. Okay, so for the second side, if you can imagine when you're bringing in the back and the belly in, if you can also bring in that sense of support from the whole of that area we've been talking about, inner thighs, pelvic floor. So a couple more times, breathing in and extending into that arch or that bigger belly. And then out breath, gathering everything in for the support you might need. Okay, so next time we'll do the full movement. So in breath and diagonal arch. Out breath, belly in, gather in to bring the elbow to the knee, gathering in from that center point. Spiral the elbow towards knee. Hold for a second, unwind. And as you unwind, remembering to put the heel down at some point before you get down, and let the heel then lead the whole leg to extend along the floor. And relax at the end of that. Okay. And then we will do one more. So as you breathe in, just create the arch and bring that left foot back to the floor. As you breathe out, take the belly in, gather in to bring the right elbow towards the left knee, gathering up through the center. And then roll back down when you're ready. Slow, 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 slow as you can. At some point, the heel will land on the floor and let it kind of work its way out until you completely get the right elbow, right arm down. Excellent. Release the other leg. Release the arm. And just, again, for a moment, just see what the reset positioning is. So how does the body land on the floor again? How does the breath feel? What's going on in the areas that you might have tensed up? So the jaw, the cheeks, the eyes, the forehead, the throat, the neck, shoulders. So all these are unraveling patterns. Yeah, if we can unravel these tight areas, it's great. But if it creates tension somewhere we're already vulnerable, we might feel like we're actually adding to a difficulty rather than creating new patterns for ourselves. So just see it, if you just take your attention from your right foot, you don't need to move it, just take your attention on your right foot, your right leg, right butt and pelvis, right side of the lower belly and into the right side of the rib cage, right shoulder and shoulder blade, right arm, right side of the neck, right side of the face, and the back of the head. Just really be aware of that right side for a moment. The weight of it, the movement in it, the breath in it, the changes in it, even though you're still, just from the breath or subtle movement inside. And then let's go down the left side. So from the head, left side, neck, left arm, left shoulder, left side of the chest and the rib cage, left waist, left pelvis, left butt, left leg. And just see how we feel on the left side, just giving complete attention to the left side. And then just feeling the back of the body, all of the back, right side, left side, from head to toe. And then feeling the front of the body from the toes all the way up the legs, through the belly, through the chest, through the tops of the arms, tops of the neck and the face. And then just being aware of the whole body lying on the floor, whole body, breathing body lying on the floor, just to take a pause for a moment. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit more on hands and knees, and then, yeah, I think I can see where we're going. Okay, so bringing your knees into your chest at some point, and again, just easing the lower back if you want to. If you want to shake out for a moment, hands and wrists and arms and legs, just do a shaky version to loosen up and relax the tissues, the fascia, skin, the muscle, everything. Just get a little bit of shake out. And then roll over onto your side or rock up so you can get onto your hands and knees if you can cope with that this evening. And again, as we did earlier, just seeing how you land. So there's this magic place that it's really easy to miss, where you've done some strength work, you've done some release work, and things kind of feel like, okay, I can feel my arms, I can feel my legs, but there's a softness to it as well as a strength. So if you ever feel that, be really pleased with yourself, because it's a hard kind of central balance place to be, where you're both strong, but you're kind of not holding tension, you're just finding the support that you need. See how it is in the belly, in the lower back, in the butt, in the inner thighs, in the outer thighs, in the inner arms, and the outer arms. Okay, so you've got your knees hip distance apart, your hands in the usual place with the shoulders just above the wrists. So if you just pick up your left knee, so more weight will be going for your right knee. So we're going to create diamond shapes with the left knee. So if you take your knee forward, then if you take it out to the side slightly, and then back, and then in a little bit, and then back to that starting point. And then just notice that you're drawing a diamond. So just drawing a diamond, if you can, with that knee. So obviously the weight will be drifting over a little bit more to your right knee, your hip. You're trying to keep your pelvis close to neutral. It won't be neutral, but close to neutral. Okay. And see then if you can do circles within with your knee, within that diamond. So it's a small circle. There's quite a lot of strength going on there to hold yourself in position. So you'll notice your belly's working, your arms are working. See if you can breathe. Turn the knee in the opposite direction. If you're still with me, if you just need to take a break, take a break. Well done. And then knee down. Okay, I think we need to just take a break for the hands here. Okay, so coming up, I know you won't see me completely. Try and do a little bit. That won't work for me either, so I'm just going to have to, you know where you're going, I think, with this. Okay, so just coming onto your knees, doesn't matter, you can't see my head. It's not an important bit. Okay. So just bring your hands into the centre for a moment and just get that sense of length through the both the front of the body, through the sternum, and through extension to the crown of the head to just feel tall. And then releasing the arms, sweeping the arms out to the side if you've got space, hopefully, extending, and then just coming into this, hopefully you can see, into this twist. So arms go out to one side, bring yourself back to centre, and just go over to the other side for a moment. Take yourself back to centre, this time bringing the hands, palms together, and then just bring your palms down through the middle, back towards the sternum and the chest, relax the shoulders. Okay, so we'll just do it one more time, just to kind of break to some extent. So releasing the arms, swinging the arms out to the side and up. Maybe go to your second side first, just open into that twist, arms out at shoulder level. Back up to centre and to your second side, which might have been when you were on your first side the first time. Back to centre, lengthening, great. Palms come together and just bring your palms down back to your sternum in the centre and just do a little bow of your head this time. So the shoulders come forward and just relax the shoulders, the head and the neck. Okay, brilliant. So we're going to come back down and do the other knee. So I know it's strong, but a couple of things to do with the knees to just open the hips. So we'll just do one or two more on hands and knees and then come onto the back where it might feel easier. So picking up the right knee, I think this time, yeah, and just bring the knee slightly forward, out to one side, back, in a little bit. So we've got diamond shape with the knee being drawn on the mat below you. So side, next opposite side of the diamond, third side of the diamond, fourth side. Okay, and then just do a circle within the diamond or a small movement. So it's kind of like you have to relax the hip a little bit. So you don't need to look at your knee if you can help it. Just keep the neck long so you're not rounding your back too much. And circle in the other direction. So it might be bigger than the diamond, but broadly speaking, it's a small movement getting into the hip. But you're having to do a lot of work in centre to keep yourself stable here and work a lot of the areas we've already been working. Okay, great. and relax the knee down. Give the fingers and the arms and the wrists a shake if that helps. One at a time, of course, unless you're coming onto your knees. Okay, we've only got one more movement on our hands and knees, and then we'll come onto our back again, and then we'll stand for the rest of the class, probably. Okay, so from here, just going to take your knee out to the side. So it's a bit like a dog, you know, what the dogs do. Okay, and then just bring the knee back to land where it left, and take the opposite knee out to the side. So it comes to wherever it comes to. Being careful not to take the knee too high, it's going to cause any stress on the lower back, sacrum kind of area. So just alternate, say 3 times, taking the knee out to the side. So remaining stable in your centre as much as you can. So you have the support and the stability on the knee that's on the floor and the belly. So there's a controlled movement. So about 3 times. And when you've done 3 times, we will move on to our back. I was going to do one more thing, but I think it's enough. So let's come on to our back now. And bringing the knees up towards the ceiling, the hands on the knees. We're going to take the knees away from each other, let the knees drift away from you, and then come back up to the centre. So basically doing circles with your knees, but they're going away from each other, yeah, rather than together. So then each knee goes away from each other like frog's legs, and then comes in, comes up through the centre, out to the sides, drifts away a little bit, comes up through the centre. And then you can let them go the opposite way. So go down the centre, out to the sides, and drift more in towards the chest and the belly. Go down in the centre, out to the sides, and back towards the belly, navel area. So a couple more times, if it, again, as long as it feels safe and stable in the lower back. So we're doing a little bit more opening now in the hips, after doing a lot of sort of holding and stabilizing. So my hope and my wish is that you've got the stability from work we've been doing earlier, and now we can do a little bit more opening for the hips. Okay. And then release the feet back to the floor for a moment. Okay, so just press the feet into the floor so the legs become strong. Yeah, so as if you're pushing your feet into sand. See how it feels in the legs, in the knees, in the hips and the pelvis. So again, we're kind of doing the same work just for a moment, just stabilize in center, and then just switch it off and relax. The feet, the thighs, the butt, the belly, just relax them. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to take our right ankle just over on below the left knee onto the left thigh. So the knee comes out to the side, yeah. So most of you know this sort of movement. Okay, just bring the belly in a little bit and see how that feels again in terms of core support as you have the knee out to the side, ankle resting on the thigh, not giving any nastiness to the knee. And just let the toes come towards the knee so it feels quite strong. If you press the left foot into the ground and then from there press the side of the heel slightly into the thigh. And that might then start to, again, work the inner thighs, work the butt, work the belly a little bit more, even maybe work the pelvic floor, maybe not. Okay, so not all things function and all movements. Okay, so there's a little bit of kind of resistance, almost like the between the left leg and the right ankle. Okay, so from here, taking the hand so you can reach one hand through the center, one hand round the outside of the left leg, just bringing the knee slightly closer into, you can bring your head off the floor. For most people, actually works better than keeping the head down, to be honest. Let the shoulders descend, Just see how that is. And if you can, as long as the knee feels safe, continue to give a bit of resistance between the ankle pushing into the thigh, not into the knee, and the leg pushing into the ankle. So there's resistance through that, rather than just pulling through your leg and not do anything with your ball, just pulling your left leg in. Use your right leg to counter. Okay, lovely. And relax that leg down. Unhook the ankle, take care. Sometimes the hip doesn't feel, gets a bit of a shock there. Lengthen out through your legs for a moment. Your knees might crack. So let your arms be free by your side again. And just relax for a moment and see how the body feels in this open position, lying on your back. So your right leg and your left leg might feel the same, might feel different. You might feel more connected into your center through your legs. So part of this stability work and activation work is to bring as much as we can the sense of the legs really coming into center, even technically, theoretically, as high as the rib cage. So if we can walk and run and move with the support of all that central area, we've got so much more going on for us to help us out than we have just running from the hips or just running from the legs or any movement. That whole core support can engage there. Okay, if you want to shake out, and then have a quick shake out, then you're going to, of course, put both feet then to the floor, and we're going to do the opposite side. So this time it's left ankle on right knee, and we start press down the right foot to get that right leg engaged. We then bring the toes of the left foot in a bit so we can engage a little bit more with the right leg, and then this kind of push me, pull me resistance work going on between the left ankle and the right thigh, as long as you're not pushing into your knee. It's not nice, usually that. And notice what goes on in the stabilizing with that center area, the pelvis into the floor, so that you're not rocking over from one side to the other. But you can still breathe. Yeah, find the breath. So sometimes we have to find it a little bit higher up. Sometimes we have to find it through that tone in the belly so that we can actually still find the breath and the support. We don't want to switch off the breath. Okay, and then picking up that leg, taking the hands through to join the right leg, if that's safe for you. And the head comes off the floor, chin comes into chest. And there's that resistance again with bringing the knee forward, shin forward of the right leg, but pushing back a little bit with the ankle of the left leg as the knee goes out to the side. Any pain in the knee come out of it? Yeah. So we kind of push me, pull me kind of situation going on there. And you might be feeling lots going on in the outer hip, in the kind of IT band sort of area, piriformis. Vary for all of us, whether we feel anything, nothing, everything. Okay, and gently release. We'll take care with taking the ankle off the front thigh and returning it. Lengthening out slowly and carefully. And arms just to the side of your body. And just let everything go for a moment in terms of giving the release of gravity. Just feel the back of the head, the back of the body sinking to the ground. Getting the length through the legs, the work in the legs, the release of tension, hopefully after the work. Maintaining that sense of stability in center that we want to be able to maintain. And again, just seeing if any of this makes sense, the sense of the legs really feeling like they start really higher up in the body. They finish at the thighs, they go into the butt, they go into the front belly, they go into the core, they go deep into the abs. Even higher potentially. So just get that sense of the legs starting really high. We've got extra long legs, extra long, extra support, if you like, through that center. Okay, so we're going to be heading to standing now, a long way. So bringing the hands to the knees, just rock and roll and circle and release. And then either rocking up or rocking over to find your way to standing. Just need to rearrange things in there with the camera, laptop, so I can see you and be seen. Okay. Just looking back, I've done most things that I want to do. Not everything. I was being a bit greedy, I knew I was. Trying to fit too much in. Okay, so how's standing? Do you want to feel like you want to go back lying down? Do you feel like you feel a lightness in standing? So what I said when we went back to all fours after we'd done lots of work, this kind of strength but softness in the body. Just see if that makes any sense in standing. So it means we feel weight going through the feet, but we also maybe feel a softness underneath the feet. We might feel a lightness in the shoulders as well as an openness in the shoulders. So there's that lightness, softness, as well as strength and stability through the legs. Okay. So taking the feet, if they're not already there, to shoulder distance, and we'll just get a little bit of freedom before we do a little bit more through sun salutations. So just doing your figure of 8. So your dance move to bring one hip forward and then the other hip forward, just a figure of 8, just finding a nice way to soften and boogie in your own way. Let your breath come, let your shoulders release any tension, come away from your jaw. Or a smile or a swallow or a deep breath. It's nice. Feel what's going on in your feet, the suppleness of your feet maybe, as you move from side to side. Try and allow the shoulders to relax. Okay, we're going to then let go of the arms so it comes even more dancey. So the arms just flow behind and in front. And we can release a little bit more through the wrists and the fingers. Keep a sense of tallness though if you can, rather than collapsing in the neck or the upper back. Yeah, give you more free dance movement. The spine can just loosen, extend, rotate, whole body movement, softening. Lovely movers, okay. And back to stillness for a moment. Okay, so I will show you. I'll do my best. It might be a little bit more difficult to see for this, but we'll see. But most of you know, I think all of you know what we're going to be doing. So hopefully that will help. So I'll just show you to start off with. So this sense of space and length through the sternum, length through the spine to start off with, and then we'll bow down, extend up, flow forward, hands to shins, extend through the spine, back down and extend back, and back into down dog. And you can bend your knees as much as you like. We'll do a little bit of getting the backs of the legs to soften. Yeah, lines are really tight again in the back of the calf. So it needs a bit of work there. And then we'll at some point bring the knee forward, up, back and open. Yeah, so that kind of opening external rotation. If you want to, if it feels too strong for whatever reason, then you don't do it. You come down and you head for your left knee to your left wrist. I've broadly got the front of my shin quite almost parallel with the front of my mat, but I know that it's just kind of like not where you're going to go. So you just have to do what you need to do. So it might be that the shin's further back. And we just land there for a moment. We tuck the toes back under. We do our push-up to release that hip. It might be more obvious on this side for some of you. It's really difficult. I should change trousers maybe. Okay, so I'm lowering that down. But for you, or for some of you, it might feel more comfortable like that. For me, it actually feels less comfortable. Releasing up, releasing out, lengthening through. Now, you'll have the option, you can do what we normally do, you can pad back, or if you feel like you want to do a bigger movement, you can travel forward. So you step forward and you step forward. But it might be two movements, or it might be a little bit of both. To come down, to come up, to come back. Yeah. So you can do all of that, some of that, lie down if you prefer, whatever. So we'll just give that a few, potentially a few goes. Yeah. So if you join me, come to the front of your mat, bring your hands to the front of your chest if you join in. Feet, my suggestion is broadly hip distance apart, but you choose what feels stable. Get a sense of this uplift without jutting out the rib cage, but the sense of length through the sternum, length through the top of the head, crown of the head. So you've got length. And just feel the legs, the inner legs, the outer legs again, the heels, the feet on the floor. Get a little bit of support. Could you get a little support from the belly, a little bit of support from the inner thighs, the butt and the pelvic floor? And just see if that does give you a great sense of lightness or extension. It may not. Might make your legs feel longer, it might not. And if you overdo it, you can't breathe. So it's, again, just take down, wind down if you need to just get the breath back. Relax the shoulders, the jaw. And breathe in, maybe bend the knees slightly, extend the arms up. And fold forward, bring the arms forward, so top body over bottom body. Relax that top body now. It's the opportunity to really release the head, the neck, the lower back, the shoulders, the jaw. Breathing in, take the hands to the shins, bends knees as bent as you want to. Sense of extending through the spine. Bring the belly in a little bit and a little bit toe to the inner thighs, and see how that extends potentially the whole of the back. Yeah. Release the fingers to the floor again and step back with one leg, palms down, step back with your second leg into down dog if you're coming with me. Okay, just adjust so you've got your feet further enough back. Press down with your hands a little, bend your knees as much as you like, and then pedal. So one knee comes forward and then the other knee comes forward. One knee comes forward and then the other knee comes forward. So we're kind of working as much as we can through releasing through the back of the ankle, the back of the calves if they're tight, which is probably quite a lot of you. I don't think it's just me, but it might be. So enjoying that lengthening through one foot and through one heel and through one back of the leg. Okay, well done. So if you're coming on to the second part of the journey, then come with me. So bring the left knee in towards the chest. Take the knee behind you and then your knee up more towards the ceiling for this big opening, if you want to. And then swing your knee, so swing the left knee towards the left ankle and put the shin down if it'll go down. Release the back knee for a moment if you can. Press down through your hands, bring your chest forward a little bit more. Belly in, support through the centre, wherever you can find that gathering in. Press through the front hands, come on, press through your back leg to release, back foot to release the front leg. Sorry, wasn't very helpful there. And push back. We're going to come out of it and do the second side in a moment. So either bring your hands to your feet or bring your foot to your hands, stepping forward with one leg and then the other leg. Wherever you come, it might be right to the front, it might be just to the centre. And then wherever you are, bottom down, squat. Arms extend, reach up. Bring your palms together and just come back down the centre to do your halfway if you join in halfway. So just relax the body for a moment, relax the shoulders down. Let the breath come back. Feel the energy and the work comes from the vibrations in the chest. So you've got a sense of it now. You may have done your easy side, you may have done your more difficult side, you may have chosen just to do half of the movement. You may find it lovely and opening and really easy. You might find it really tricky at parts of the practice. So go with what you can go with and just kind of be gentle on yourself. Don't have to do anything. Just work with what you can today.
So we'll do the second side. So often, most of it's obviously going to be down the centre with downward dog, but then we're going to use it on our right leg. So again, just steady yourself, relax the jaw, the throat, the shoulders, the breath. And then just start to a little bit of engagement. What does that feel like through the feet, the thighs, the butt, the belly, pelvic floor, crown of the head so the neck extends slightly. Still breath there, still breath. Bend the knees, extend the arms out to the side as you breathe in and reach and lengthen. Out breath, coming forward, top body over bottom body. Just allow the top body to really relax over the bottom body so the knees are bent, necks long, heads heavy, arms heavy, well done. And then press through the feet, get the hands onto the shins. To extend through the spine, just get that area engaged I mentioned before, see if it lengthens through your spine a little bit. And then relax down, fingertips to the outside of the feet. You can step back with your opposite foot than you did last time first, palms down, take the other leg back, come into your downward facing dog. So you're pushing back a little bit through your hands if you can, and then you can pedal again. Now, there's a different way of pedaling. You can just take the knees forward, which is probably what you were doing before. You could try and take the knees in and across the midline. So it just means it's like not knees position. One knee drifts in. So we get into a different place in the back of the leg. And we're having a different feeling for the hip, which some people might like, some people might not. So you choose, you can go back to the other movement if you prefer it. And if you're going to join me for the second movement, do get your feet back in line, grow up the hip distance, bring your right knee in and open behind you, open up and out if you can. And then bring the knee forward, right knee to right wrist if you can. Make contact with the floor if you can, if you choose to do that. Okay. And again, just lengthen through the front of the spine, bring the belly in for a moment if you're still with me. Okay, push down through the hands, use the toes of the back foot to release the back leg to bring the front leg back to its more natural position. Bend the knees, lengthen through the spine, and then you choose whether you're going to step one foot forward and then the other foot, or whether you're going to bring your hands back to your legs. Take care, it's a big movement potentially. And go down in order to come up. Palms together, hands towards the chest, and relax the shoulders. Hey, okay, I couldn't see all of that. Saw some legs going into various places, but I couldn't see you all. So hopefully that was okay. That isn't going to be in the short sequence, so I'm sending you. It's going to be more of the back lifts and the arch and curls, just so you're aware. So releasing the hands, give the arms a shake, give the legs a shake. You have survived. Some of you may have loved it, some of you may have hated it. Some parts of the body might like it, some parts of the body might not. So it's always a bit touch and go. Okay, so we've just finished with a couple more movements in standing, but if you just want to lie down, because you just want to lie down, that's absolutely fine. But if you want to stay standing, then you're taking your feet wide and bending your knees slightly so your toes are out and your ankles are in. Yeah, again, more familiar with this positioning. And you know what you're doing with your lower back, so you're not jutting your bum out too much, you're not tucking your tail under, tucking your bum under. You're trying to find a neutral position as best you can here. It's always a little bit of a tricky one for a number of us here, okay? And you're still feeling like you're extending through your sternum as if we were standing doing the sun, preparing for the sun salutation, and you've still got the crown of the head feeling like you've got a long spine, long through the back of the neck. Let the shoulders relax down. Okay. So just taking your weight over to your left side, so it's just like your knee goes slightly further forward, you take your weight over to your left side, you come back to your centre. As long as the knee feels safe, just go a short distance forward, and the knee does go just over the toes, so it should feel reasonably safe. So it's a slow motion movement from side to side. Trying to keep that back still in that kind of neutral position. Certainly not overarching back, particularly if you've got any difficulty there. Still keeping your length through your spine, even though you're going over to one side and then the other side. Okay, if you want to let one hand travel down over your knees to get a bit of a side bend in, then you could choose to do that as you go from side to side. There's a little bit more space coming down one side as you travel, as long as your knee can cope with that. So think more about pressing from your foot to get yourself back up rather than straightening your leg. It gives much more support if you go through your foot and your leg muscles activate rather than thinking of just pushing the knee back to straighten the leg. It's can feel very different, much more supportive. Okay. So next time you're in neutral, then stay in your neutral position. And arms out to the side, you can have the elbows slightly bent, you can have your palms facing towards me. So you do feel like your shoulder blades are back and down, perhaps. Feet are in the same position as long as you're comfortable. And again, your lower back feels safe. And you can do a little bit more of an opening through extending through the spine, extending through the front of the sternum and looking up. And then you can slightly round your back as you bring your fingertips in and you look down towards the floor. So you've got a rounded back there. So your butt will be going under now, slightly. Breathing in to open up. And again, we'll be, think about more extending through the spine rather than creating a big dip in the lower back. Out breath. In breath. So just maybe 2 or 3 more movements, just with your own rhythm, your own breath cycle, if that's working for you. Keep length through the spine, openness through the chest. So probably the last one. So next time you open, let your arms travel to your side, get your toes together, your heels together, your toes together, your heels together. See how we are in standing. See how we are in standing. So just get a sense of length again one more time. Just know what it feels like to just slightly engage the thighs, press through the feet, slightly gather up through the center, the belly. Might even feel like everything's going on around this kind of corset area in the center of the body. Feel tall. Can you breathe? How does it feel to be kind of strong in the body? Does it feel too much? And then just relax and have a shake out. And we can finish there. So quite hard work. Was it just me? So I'll send you the half-an-hour sequence, which will be re-engaging with this idea of what's additional support we can get. Yeah, that makes sense. If it doesn't ask the questions, I'll try and help. So thanks for coming. This was week 4. Still got 2 more to go as we hit December. And yeah, see those of you next week that can make it. All right. So I'll send you the short version. I might be able to send you the long version as well. Okay. Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.